Welcome to the May 30th Board of Trustees meeting. As we always start our meeting, we will start it with a Pledge of Allegiance, along with a moment of silence. Tonight's moment of silence is in memory of Dorothy, or as we love to call her, Dee Meyer. Dee is the mother of one of our police clerks, Melinda Klenk, and one of our past police clerks, Jim Meyer. Dee was very active in the area. She's survived by 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 14 great-grandchildren. Our thoughts and prayers from the board go out to the family. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. All right, we'll start out with the approval of the minutes. Please, Mr. Luby.
Motion 2018-89, approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting held on May 9th, 2018, and dispense with the reading.
I move motion 2018-089.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes.
Motion 2018-90, approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees special meeting held on May 9th, 2018, and dispense with the reading.
I move motion 2018-090.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Approval of bills, please.
Motion 2018-91, approve bills for payment.
I move motion 2018-091.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Payment of overtime.
Motion 2018-92, approve the payment of overtime for pay period ending May 8th and May 22nd, 2018.
I move motion 2018-092.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Report from the fiscal officer, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2018-068, resolution approving purchase order obligations incurred on behalf of the township by the township administrator, authorizing payment of certain purchase order obligations and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
As far as significant transactions since the last meeting, on 5/29, we had a payment of $154,000 to PNC Bank. This was a bond payment for the Greenwell Fire Station. On 5/24, we had a payment to the Bank of New York for $40,000, which was the interest payment on the Neeb Road Fire Station bond. On 5/16, we had payroll of $260,000. As far as cash receipts, we received $26,000 on 5/15 from the Oak Hills School District for the SRO, School Resource Officer reimbursement. On 5/18, received $41,000 for Hamilton County Auditor for local government fund and gasoline tax. On 5/18, received $18,000 from Hamilton County Auditor for permissive motor vehicle tax. That's all I have.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, trustee correspondence. Trustee Seavey.
Just to say a super thank you to the Delhi Veterans Association for again putting on a wonderful memorial ceremony for the community to enjoy, and we're always appreciative of their service to the township. So thank you, Delhi Township veterans.
Yes. Trustee Davis.
Just to concur with Mrs. Seavey, and it was a great event, and for those that came out, it was awesome, and it was hot, but if you have not been to one, you know, it's Memorial Day, that Sunday every year, just come out. It is a nice event, so thank you, but no other correspondence at this time.
Thank you. And you'll have an opportunity at the Veterans Day in November. Again, a wonderful thing, so thank you. All right, moving on to administration, please.
Motion 2018-93, approve the proclamation declaring June 1st, 2018 as Gun Violence Awareness Day in Delhi Township, Hamilton County, Ohio.
I move motion 2018-093.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. We do have a proclamation that I will read now, and then we'll present it. Proclamation, National Gun Violence Awareness Day, June 1st, 2018. Whereas every day, 96 Americans are killed by gun violence, and on average, there are nearly 13,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas gun violence among the youth of America has been on the rise, and there is a mutual responsibility of all citizens to share in the prevention of gun violence. And whereas promoting public safety in Delhi Township is a priority of the board. And whereas the board supports the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens and keeping guns away from dangerous people. And whereas police and law enforcement know their communities best, are the most familiar with local criminal activity and know how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their residents safe. And whereas we as a Board of Trustees encourage and support gun violence awareness, keeping firearms out of the wrong hands, and encouraging responsible gun ownership to help keep our residents, children, and visitors safe. Whereas we as a Board of Trustees encourage the President of the United States, the Governor of Ohio, the Congress of the United States, and the Ohio General Assembly to prioritize the protection of students by enacting legislation with funding. Now therefore be it resolved that the Delhi Township Board of Trustees declare June 1st, 2018 to be Gun Violence Awareness Day in Delhi Township. And that's our proclamation, and I'd like to present it, if you would please. This is Margaret Rice, and she is part of Moms Demand Action. And if you'd like, you can speak now, and we're going to just kind of jump ahead, and then I'll give you your resolution.
Can I talk about the Be Smart?
Okay, if
But I
you'd
was-
like to, then in connection with this, or do you want to wait?
I'll wait with that.
Okay, that's fine. So then,
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
all right. Good. So we will hear from Ms. Rice later. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Luby.
Motion 2018-94, upon the request of Oak Hills Local School District, the board would move forward with the addition of a school resource officer with the following understandings. Cost sharing of the total actual employee costs for all SROs, including the current one, which would include salary, benefits, insurance, etc., at 75% Oak Hills Local School District and 25% Delhi Township, be a 5-year commitment of funding for the current and additional SRO, 9 months prior notice of discontinuing either SRO position. Delhi Township Police Department has and maintains 100% control of the SRO selection. A second or additional SRO would be available as soon as practical, given the police department's need to recruit, hire, and train an additional police officer.
I move motion 2018-094.
I second this motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution 2018-069, resolution granting the Our Lady of Victory Church Cub Scout Pack 909 a special exemption to the park rules for their annual parent-son overnight campout and flag retirement ceremony, waiving burn permit fee, authorizing the township administrator to issue the special exemption, and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Motion 2018-095, approving the request not to have a hearing regarding Hugh and Parth Corporation's annual liquor license renewal.
I move motion 2018-095.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
motion passes.
Motion 2018-096, approving the request not to have a hearing regarding Kumo Asian Restaurant, Inc. annual liquor license renewal.
I move motion 2018-096.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
motion passes. All right, Parks and Recreation.
Motion 2018-097, accept the resignation of part-time event custodian Leo P. Moran, effective May 30th, 2018.
I move motion 2018-097.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
motion passes. Okay. All right, Fire Department?
Motion 2018-098, approving a request from William Eckhoff, St. Dominic Cub Scout Pack 483 Committee Chairman, to waive the open burn permit for their annual flag retirement ceremony on June 10th, 2018, on St. Dominic Church property, 4551 Delhi Avenue, due to the community service nature of the request.
I move motion 2018-098.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Chief Campbell, do you have anything to say about this? Nope? Okay, thank you.
Motion 2018-099, approve the hiring of Austin H. Pienig as part-time firefighter EMT in the fire department at the rate per the collective bargaining agreement with the Delhi Firefighters Association and successful completion of the pre-employment physical, drug testing, and background check effective on May 30th, 2018.
I move motion 2018-099.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Motion passes.
Motion 2018-100, accept the resignation of part-time firefighter EMT Tyler A. Hughes effective May 23rd, 2018.
I move motion 2018-100.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Okay. Did you have something?
Yes, if I could,
You didn't
you'd
move.
be so kind. Thank you, trustees. I wanted to speak on two topics tonight to the board and to the general community, just to kind of let them know where we're at as a fire department. I come up here regularly. We talk about public safety, both law enforcement and fire, and I'm a big proponent of community risk reduction. And one of the things I wanted to speak on specifically is behind the scenes. A lot of folks see us out driving the trucks. I want to let them know that, we really do have a plan to tackle risk reduction in the community. And just recently, we had a double fatality on Samet Ridge at May 1st. And if you look back just a little bit further, December 31st, we had 2 fire casualties, 2 more civilians on Ivy Hill. That we really shouldn't have to wait for a catalyst, but that was enough to get on my personnel and really take a hard look at what's going on in Delhi's community and to find out if there's really something that we can do to make an impact. So what I'm here to share with you is just a few bullet points on our plan and just kind of give you an example of what we did. So we looked at these 2 fires. We went through the total investigation process, and what we looked for were there commonalities between the 2 fires. And what were those risks, what were those commonalities that we had. Then we looked at our program. Did we address those commonalities? And we found a number of gaps in the fire prevention programs that we do. I mean, most of them are directed towards children, and neither of these fires involve children at all. So when you talk about a gap, how do you fill it? Well, we have to just redirect our focus and make sure that we apply these same techniques to elderly populations and special needs populations. So looking at those programs, we realized we needed to develop a new program to eliminate those gaps. So some of the things that I want to share with you tonight it'll seem familiar because we've done it in the past. So the American Red Cross now has their smoke detector program has been updated to include photoelectric detectors. That's something for the longest time they passed out ionization. Without going deeply into the smoke detectors, the fire chiefs in Ohio were insistent that we went with photoelectric, and American Red Cross has since followed suit. So what we're looking to do is increase our public awareness, both through our social media, our webpage, and education to get the word out to folks that this program is being implemented. With the Red Cross, we're also going to do a smoke detector installation blitz that'll occur in our 3 fire districts, because we have the 3 fire stations covering those, and we'll blanket those neighborhoods to address anyone that can't afford smoke detectors, doesn't have smoke detectors, in order to get those installed at that moment in time and do an educational campaign to address those things. We're looking to train our personnel specifically in addressing elderly populations and adults at risk with special needs. We're also looking at implementing implementing a new voluntary home inspection. So if folks are unsure as to what they can do to be safe in their homes, ideally they have the opportunity to come to us, and we can offer no violations, but essentially a chance to have a conversation with them about being safe in their own home. So going forward, by the end of the year, we will have implemented all these activities specifically to address. And what I hope to do at the end of the year is give you a summary on how we've tackled those things. So you will see a bigger campaign and a joint effort with the American Red Cross here by August. Second thing I want to address tonight was open burns. So it seems like we have our spring and fall season, and it's just a friendly reminder. Best practice is call the firehouse. If you're ever in doubt, the idea that you can burn in Delhi Township as long as it's recreational, and for more defined terms, I would recommend you call the firehouse. But simply put, you shouldn't be burning trash. You shouldn't be burning yard waste, grass clippings, any of that stuff. It needs to be seasoned firewood. But the advantage you have by calling the fire station to say, hey, is this burn okay? We can make sure that you have the right distance from structures. We can make sure that you're burning the right material, that you are not creating an offensive or an unsafe situation, and that you can extinguish the fire essentially by your own means. So those are all important notes, but best practice is to contact the fire department. When we do respond, these are all the things that we will evaluate. We've had folks, we've laughed about it before. They'll throw a hot dog on a stick over top of burning grass. I'm sorry, you're not going to eat that hot dog. It's not what it's intended to do. So we take into account the smoke that's produced, what they're burning, and all those things to work with the citizens and neighbors to make sure that they're safe and they're not creating an unsafe atmosphere. So, any questions?
Yes, Trustee Davis has one.
I just had one statement, and this is awesome. This is good to hear. Because you get it all the time, and I don't know, you guys probably when you're walking down the aisle at Kroger's and someone says, my neighbor, and can they do this? There really is it's just not clear. And I love it that you're presenting here. Could you do an article? I just put the Delhi Press down, and I love reading about Cheviot and everywhere else in our Delhi Press. But could you do a story? Because it's some great information. I think the people, as our residents, would love to know. What can we do and what shouldn't we do?
Specifically as it relates to open
As it
burns?
relates to open burns is one thing, and maybe just actually do a series of some little things. So, especially this time of year, because it's happening. It's happened actually, on my street just a couple of days ago, where the neighbors are livid, but what are you going to do? Can they, do they have to?
And I will tell you, statistically, over the last 3 years, because we kind of hit this hard 2 years ago, and I know we had a number of public talks on it, but statistically, we are seeing less unauthorized burns and more authorized burns. So it's a good thing. The word is getting out. And the sense is, we're not there patrolling the streets, looking for smoke in the air. That's just not what we're doing. But the idea is there's a time and place. And obviously, the citizens need to know that, within reason, they can burn in Delhi Township.
A quick question, Chief. Are there set times that they cannot be burning?
If there is a state of Ohio, like the Ohio Fire Marshal's Office for weather or wind decides that there's a Ohio burn ban, I can do it during set hours, and it's usually weather related. That's the regulations, but no, there's not a time of day set that you cannot burn.
And not now, but that is something that I think I would love to see us have some dialogue on, that there should be set hours that, as it smolders at 10, 11 o'clock at night, people like to open their windows and it's just smoke. But that might be something, especially if there's nothing on the books.
And as I said, fires deemed offensive or objectionable will be extinguished. That is the point you need to understand, is that if we're called for just a vague complaint, we cannot identify the person that's complaining, we can't follow through with any action. But if we have a person who's willing to say, yes, this is bothering me, I want it to stop, this is objectionable, that's one of the things that we have as a fire department to go out and intercede, and it can be extinguished at that point in time. So you do have that ability. And if it's a time matter, that's something that the board would have to look at.
So you won't act on an anonymous complaint for the smoke?
We will. We actually
would? Okay, I
we do
wanna
all
make
the
sure.
time. We do all the time, and unfortunately, a lot of it ends up being neighbor
Right.
complaints, and we have no one to go back to. To say, okay, this needs to stop. I have this person that's has asthma and has a problem with it. Those are things. So we do need that identification. It can't be an anonymous complaint necessarily to put it out. I mean, we do respond to anonymous complaints all the time. Yeah, that's how we get the calls the majority of the times.
Trustee Seavey.
In addition to open burn, when Doug mentioned community risk reduction, I just wanted to let everyone know how the Delhi Township Fire Department is taking a lead in a program for the Oak Hills Local School District, as well as Our Lady of Victory and St. Dominic, and that is the Stop the Bleed campaign, which is a campaign to provide every classroom with a kit that would enable any individual during an unfortunate act of terror or active shooter situation to stop the bleeding on an injured person before the actual help can get into a building after it's cleared. And I'm just so proud of the Delhi Township Fire Department for taking lead on this. And we will be packing these kits with community service from the kids, and they'll be in the classrooms for the start of school in the fall. So thank you, Delhi Township, for taking the lead on that. And we're progressing nicely on getting everything funded and ready to go. So
Should be ready by next year.
we'll be ready. When school starts, we'll be ready.
Great, thank you. All right, thank you, Chief. All right, moving on to community development, please. Oh, Public Works, we have nothing, so then we go to the Police
Police.
Department. Sorry, jumped right over police, sorry there.
Resolution 2018-070, resolution entering into a lease agreement with the Board of County Commissioners, Hamilton County, Ohio, to memorialize use of CLEAR funding for mobile data computers and docking stations being transferred to law enforcement agencies located in Hamilton County in order to improve access to data and information and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Lieutenant Macaluso?
No, just to let you know, this is the new MDCs. The old mobile data computers in the car are no longer supported by the manufacturer, and this is something that Hamilton County makes us pay half of the cost for, and this is why we have us out there today.
All right, thank you for that.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-071, resolution entering into a subscription agreement with Securus Technologies, Inc. for cloud-based hosting services for the Police Department's record management system, authorizing the police chief to execute the agreement and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Lieutenant?
Just that when we first had our records management system, we hosted it in-house, and it's gotten so big that we needed to host it outside the house. It actually will be a savings for us to go ahead and have them remove it from in-house to outsource it.
All right, great.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Motion 2018-101, accept resignation of full-time police corporal Frank Gentili, effective June 9th, 2018.
I move motion 2018-101
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
painfully.
Yes.
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 Okay, he's actually retiring. I know we say resignation, but he's retiring after a long, wonderful career with us, and we're going to miss him. And if you're listening, Frank, we're going to miss you. Okay, motion passes.
One thing I'd like
Yes.
to mention on that, Frank has been with us since 1993, and as Chief Howarth would tell you, he's been an asset to our department. The business district owners know him up there from going in and out of the business. He has taught many of the new officers, including myself, what it was like to be a police officer. He's sorely going to be missed. One thing that we will be asking the board to do with a resolution in the future will be to allow him to have his gun belt, his badge, and his off-duty weapon It's pretty common for us to retire the badge after they retire. The gun belt is specific to him. He's worn it for years. It's a symbolic for him to have that. And the duty firearm in and itself, it's not the firearm we use day in, day out. It's an off-duty weapon that he has had for years, and the value of it won't be there for anyone else to use. So that's forthcoming in the future.
Okay, thank you. All right. Community development then, or did you have something else? We're good? Okay. Community development.
Motion 2018-102, accept and acknowledge receipt of the zoning commission's recommendation in case ZC 2018-1 and scheduling a public hearing on June 13th, 2018 at 6 PM.
I move motion 2018-102.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Motion
Motion passes.
2018-103, accept and acknowledge receipt of the zoning commission's recommendations in case ZC 2018-2 and scheduling a public hearing on June 13th, 2018 at 6 PM.
I move motion 2018-103.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution 2018-072, resolution certifying violation abatement expenses at 943 Country Ridge Lane to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Cameron?
Just briefly, but before I do that, I just want to make note that Mr. DeLong put more stuff on the agenda than I've ever seen him put on the agenda, and he's on vacation, so thank him for that. But there's 3 abatements. These have already been done, taken care of. The bill's been paid, and so now these are assessments for that work.
All right.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-073, resolution certifying violation abatement expenses at 4693 Mayhew Avenue to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-074, resolution certifying violation abatement expenses at 445 Leith Avenue to the county auditor for assessment and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-075, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5417 Canis Drive and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Cameron?
This was still in this condition this morning, so we would ask that you pass this as a nuisance, as well as the next, I think, 7 resolutions.
Okay.
All right. I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-076, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 328 Bob Drive and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-077, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5218 Riverwatch Drive and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-078, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5472 Rapid Run Road and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-079, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5088 Rapid Run Road and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-080, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4011 Delhi Pike and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
Second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-081, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4081 Delhi Pike and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2018-082, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4426 Delhi Pike and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Thank you for your patience getting through those, but it has been 3 weeks since we had a meeting.
And we do have one more motion to add.
We do?
Yes, Mr. Lane and I were talking about an issue he was dealing with on a public records request. And because of the nature of the request and some of the nuances and complexities to it, he suggests that we include Dinsmore and Shoal as one of the places we can utilize for public records advice from a legal standpoint. If you recall, they do our employment legal advising and then economic development, TIF, CIC things. So we, based on the conversation from earlier today, we'd like to see if you would consider adding a motion to include them as being able to provide those legal services.
Okay.
Motion 2018-104, motion to include services related to certain public records requests within the scope of services provided by Dinsmore and Shoal LLP per Resolution 2017-312 upon the request of the Township Administrator with no increase in the previously established fee cap for collective services.
I have a motion 2018-104.
Let's second the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right. We're good? All right, it's time for citizen comments, and I do have one. Again, Margaret Rice, 5239 Highview Drive. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and to all of the citizens here. I'm a member of Moms Demand Action, which is a gun sense organization operating nationally. And we have a program we call Be Smart, and I want to talk about the Be Smart campaign as it specifically focuses on the effects of gun violence on children. Do you know that 1.7 million American children live in homes with guns that are both loaded and unlocked? That's 1.7 million. Every year in the United States, about 300 children gain access to a firearm and unintentionally shoot themselves or someone else. That means that almost daily, some American community is rocked by a child unintentionally firing a gun. Almost 500 more children commit suicide with a gun. That's almost 10 American families each week that are devastated because too many children have easy access to firearms. Adults can protect vulnerable kids by following the Be Smart program. SMART. S, secure all guns in your home and vehicles. Store guns locked, unloaded, and separately from ammunition. Let me say that again because this step is imperative. Store firearms locked, unloaded, and separate from the ammunition. M is for model. Model responsible behavior around guns. A is for ask. Ask about the presence of unsecured guns in other homes. Nothing terrifies a parent more than the thought of a child going off for a play date to find out that there is an unsecured loaded weapon at that home. R is for recognize the risks of teen suicide. And T is for tell. Tell your peers to be smart. Be smart. Secure, model, ask, recognize, and tell. If anyone would like more information about hosting a 20-minute Be Smart presentation or a postcard listing these 5 gun safety measures, please see me or check our website, besmartforkids.org. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate everything Delhi Township is doing for the safety of our children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds like a great effort. Okay, announcement of community events.
The Dahlia Farmers Market is open every other Saturday, starting on May 26th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We'll be at Clearview Lake at 5125 Foley Road. The Rock and Reel Summer Movie Night Kickoff, featuring Peter Rabbit, will be Friday, June 1st. Movie showing at dusk at Dahlia Park at 5125 Foley Road. Dahlia Historical Society Program, Historic Restaurants of Cincinnati, will be Monday, June 11th at 7 p.m. It'll be at the Dahlia Park Lodge at 5125 Foley Road. Dahlia Township Veterans Association General Meeting will be Tuesday, June 12th at 7:30 p.m. It will be at the Dahlia Senior Community Center at 647 Neeb Road. Concerts in Dahlia Park featuring Excalibur will be Thursday, June 14th at 7 p.m. Be at Dahlia Park at 5125 Foley Road. That's all we have.
All right, thank you. We do have a need to go to executive session tonight, so if we could have the motion, please, Mr. Luby.
Motion 2018-105 to retire to executive session to consider the compensation of public employee or official.
I move motion 2018-105.
I second the motion.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
All right, thank you for coming tonight. Our next meeting is Wednesday, June 13th, 6 o'clock.